the amount of prep work sometimes, like especially if you end up doing, I think you don't do anal scenes, but like the fasting, yeah, right, the fasting, the enemas, all the prep that you have to do for however many days or the day before.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, it's that's why people have this notion, I think, of porn, thinking it's this easy job, and that
they do.
that it's just you just show up, you have sex, and you go home. And
no, there's so much more.
No, there's a lot. I mean, I've always looked at like because I didn't know much about it until I started to get involved in the industry and I started knowing people and having friends in the industry. And I got to the point where I was like, man, these people are like professional athletes in the way that they have to condition their bodies, the way that they have to train their bodies to do certain things. The fact that, so many positions in porn are not supernatural sex positions.
Reverse cowgirl?
Yeah,
I would never do on a date. I'm sorry. I just wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, in the way, because it's all about visualization. It's all being able to see everything, as opposed to when it's private, it's very, it's the sex is, you're not caring who's watching. Well, I mean, unless you're into that, which watched can be fun, but still, I'm just saying. Yeah, I've done that too. But it's still, you're not as worried about like, you're not, if you were doing that like on a balcony, you'd be like, can they see this? Can they see the pit? Should I open you up more for them?
Yeah.
But
right. I'll do that. I'll just position you. Yeah.
You is this okay? Are we good? You're all right? Should I adjust?
You want more POV?
Are you good? All right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
You get their input, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a community like that? That'd be great.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I mean, have you ever heard of the hedonism resorts in Jamaica?
I have. I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
You want to go? Let's go. Airfare's not that much. Come on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I've heard that it's a very, very fun place. And
I want to go.
I remember. So I remember seeing do you remember that show on HBO, Real Sex?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it was a documentary anthology series where it would talk about, in each episode, it would have maybe 3 or 4 different subjects regarding different elements of sex and stuff like that. And I remember watching that. And that was actually something that had a very big impact on me when I was younger, because it opened me up to sexual kinks and fetishes, and it just made me think, that's interesting. That's different. Anyway, so I remember on one of the episodes, it talked about going to that resort called Hedonism. I think at the time it was like Hedonism 2 or Hedonism 3. And then there was that movie that came out called Exit to Eden with Rosie O'Donnell and Dan Aykroyd about the sex resort. That was based on an Anne Rice novel.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny that she wrote the vampire stories and then she writes this story about a sex resort.
Yeah, exactly right.
So
yeah, hedonism was actually I was engaged a couple times. Thank God those never turned out. But anyway, I was engaged a couple times. And so one of the bridal fairs that I went to was like, they had like a retreat to hedonism, right? And I was like, oh my God, that's where I want to go on my honeymoon. Should have understood then that I'm really not the marrying type if that's where you want to go on your honeymoon and the guy's not really into it. But I'm like, no, we should totally go. You'll sleep, right?
Yeah, right. Well, and I mean, so I'm curious, if you're in a relationship, do you prefer like that you have an open, like, obviously, that everybody's on the same page, that you don't, because do you think that, because everybody has different rules in regards to if they're in an open situation. So in your, like, what would your ideal situation be if you were dating somebody in that, like?
Well, it's obviously changed considerably since I started my OnlyFans doing content, started mainstream. Before I probably would have wanted something a little bit more traditional with some alternative, like, weekends thrown in there.
Yeah, adventurousness thrown in,
But now, I mean, like, I'm a professional and I can't be in some traditional relationship where because I have sex that's what I do.
That's the job now.
Fucking is my job. I show up and that's my job. And so I prefer if it would be somebody probably in the industry as well, because then they have a better understanding of what actually goes into it. Like, they understand, like, you show up, you're doing the scene and you go home and you have other things that happen. So the only thing I think I would want out of a relationship is just let me know before you shoot with somebody. I think that's the respectful thing, because ahead. It's not like it just pops up, like you're like, oh, I didn't have time to tell you.
Yeah, right.
Because like people have to exchange tests and you have to look like and so that's the only thing I would ask out of respect. Just let me know before. Don't let me see it on Twitter.
Sure. That you find out after the fact.
Yeah, then I'm kind of like, okay.
Well, and communication is important no matter what kind of relationship it is.
Right. So I feel like if there's only one rule and you break that rule, that's it.
Yeah. Well, and
it's not a hard rule.
No, it's not. Well, and that's the thing, is that it seems like that the relationships that tend to, again, no matter what kind of relationship they are, is that if there is no, if you don't establish what the rules are and where that you're on the same page. But I mean, but then again, honestly, it's like, unfortunately, there are times where people can, because I've been in situations where people will be cool with something and say they're cool with something.
Yeah.
And I've heard this multiple times from other people in the industry, where it's like they'll start dating somebody that's like all about it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then when they get into it and they're like, well, I kind of don't like this anymore, and I kind of don't want them to be doing this. And it's almost like, it's like they think it's cool to, it's obviously probably more men to women doing this than women to men. But I'm sure there's both across the board. So it's I think, the idea of dating somebody who does porn sounds really awesome, but then when they realize what that entails, which is why you said, probably an industry person.
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily another performer, but just somebody who's in the industry who knows.
So they understand, whether they're producer, director, marketing, they have to understand. And by the same token, like, I don't care what you do professionally. Like, I have not lots, but several at this point, guys that I hang out with on a regular basis, and we have like more intimate relationships. And I, honest to God, don't give two fucks what they do when I'm not there. I don't care. You say you're filming, great, you're filming. I understand what filming means, I've got some filming to do myself. So it's all good. Like, but if somebody doesn't, if they're not on that same wavelength, I can't, because I just can't. I wouldn't want to hurt anyone's feelings either. And I wouldn't want to lead anyone on or make somebody think like I'm going to change, because I'm not going to change.